We live in a world ruled by tyranny, where knowledge is suppressed and ignorance is glorified. A world where propaganda and misinformation travel the airways at the speed of lies. But in the midst of the violence and chaos, a great awakening is taking place. And as the media empires continue to collapse, a new network is forming. A network of truth, a network of courage, a network of awareness. Peace and greetings. You are now tuned into the Network of Awareness podcast radio station, where we examine current events, politics, health, finance, and topics of cultural relevance in America and throughout the world, while bringing you insightful interviews with guests that will both educate and inspire you. And now, your host of the Network of Awareness podcast radio station, ORRA the Informationalist.
Nothing like this. Stage crew radio.
Please just tell me what's happening to me in plain English without the mumbo jumbo.
My aura is a network full of awareness and gifts like Aura, the informationalist.
How you doing? How you doing?
Yes, peace and greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world. This is ORRA the Informationalist from the Network of Awareness, and we got a bonus episode today, and I'm joined by my brother from the same Heavenly Father, Brother Ahban, who's my co-host for today's bonus episode called It Is What It Is. And in case you're a little confused about what today's episode is, this is an episode where I want to just clear the air because I have these little situations where, you know, people that I have respect for seem to get into their feelings based on, you know, things that I know to be true. Not because they're my feelings, not because they're my understandings, because it's the understandings and the truth of what the Most High has spoken to be true. And it's kind of common sense when you look at it from a common sense approach and perspective. There's certain things that are in order, and there's certain things that are not in order. There's certain things that bear fruit, and there's certain things that don't bear fruit. And we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about that today in regards to that. So let me tell you what we're going to talk about. In this installment of the Legacy of Lies series for this Wisdom Wednesday episode, we're going to discuss the misunderstandings that the LGBTQ community has towards the heterosexual people and their understandings of marriage and relationships according to the word of the Most High and his scriptures that he gave us to give us knowledge, wisdom, and understanding so we could bring out to the rest of the world as his children of Israel. So listen, I know this episode is probably going to ruffle some feathers, but it is what it is. I mean, I don't know what else to do, but just to try to pursue this truth and have this faith unwavered and really just pursue the truth the best way I know how, according to how the scriptures guides me through the Most High in Christ. So giving all praises for that. And Brother Bond, if you want to take it from here and, you know, say anything and, you know, give your introduction.
Okay. Well, giving all praises to the Most High through Christ. Happy to be here. You can hear me loud and clear, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Giving all praises. Yeah. Um, the way that the scriptures say to treat people is to, be civil, and, there are boundaries or conditions that we deal with people in, but we're not supposed to treat anybody as less than or different than we would treat or excuse me, than what we would want ourselves to be treated like, regardless of their appearance or their lifestyle. Now, that boils down to, in case that was, maybe too complex or I didn't say it right, that boils down to if you don't treat me like you're an a-hole, then we're going to be cool. And that doesn't matter what you do with your life. That doesn't matter or excuse me, that doesn't matter what you do in your bedroom. It doesn't matter, if you hit the lottery 10 minutes ago or you taking bottles to the store in a place where they have redemption for used bottles so you can get money. It doesn't matter. When Christ came, he treated everybody the same, whether they were rich or poor, and he held out with the public. He hanged out or associated with the publicans and the sinners, and often got criticized for it because he was like, listen, I'm not here to fix the people that are self-righteous. I'm here to offer repentance to those that, feel that, there's something not right in my life and I need to change my lifestyle. But if people don't want to hear it, it is what it is, you know?
Hey, Matthew chapter 9. Powerful
Mhm.
chapter.
Yep. Should we repeat the motto for today's show already?
Yeah.
Okay. We're not against you.
You.
We're against
We're
Satan.
against Satan.
Yeah, that's
All
it.
right, let's do it more in sync.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. We're
We're
not
not
against
against
you.
you.
We're
We're
against
against Satan.
Satan. And we're going to keep saying that throughout the show. All right. And we might say it separately and we might say it collectively. So let's
Yeah.
get this show started, shall we?
Yep.
So, to get this show started off right, let's just go right to the video. Courtesy of brother Akurai, who sent this a while back to me. And this brother right here breaks this down so well. And what he's going to talk about is gay marriage and how Christians shouldn't bow down to gay marriage. But it's really not just Christians. It's just how people who live their life according to the order of how the relationship between a man and a man, meaning a man with genitals, right? That's what you that's what you are told when you're in your mother's womb, or you're at least your mother's told that's who you are when you're in the womb. They're like, hey, you're gonna have a boy or you're gonna have a girl, right? And as we both know, that only a man and woman can get married. There is nothing else. Just because they've made laws, those are man's laws. Let's get that straight. And we all know that man has given us nothing but a legacy of lies. So just because man tells you the lie is the truth, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is the truth. It's just man's perceptions of what they think to be true to them. But in the eyes of the Most High, it is a lie. So, let's pull this video up.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I'm even doing this show, people, I'm gonna just keep it 100 and 1,000%, is because I'm tired of these people from this alphabet gang that get upset and they're in their feelings because we want to live the life that the Most High intended for us, because we know this truth for what it is. So once again, brother Ahban, you want to say it again with me? We're not
against
against you.
you.
We're
We're against
Satan.
Satan.
There we go.
Mhm.
So we're not against you. We're against Satan. All right. Let's make that very clear. Because listen, one of my best friends is gay. And I grew up with him since we were 5 years old. That's my brother. I love him to the very end. That is my brother. I don't even say he's my best friend. He's my brother. And I would do a hell of a lot for him, no matter what. And it's always going to be like that. That's a friendship that's lasted for now what? We've been friends for like 39 years or 40 years now. So this thing where people get into their feelings when I do, my Synthetic People series or Legacy of Lies series or whatever shows I do, where people get into their feelings because I'm presenting information about this. And this stuff needs to stop because at the end of the day, we're all spiritual beings having a physical experience, but you're not going to make me believe that there's some type of natural order to this disorder, that this is somewhat normal, because it's not. And just because there's all these laws and things have been taken out of the DSM-5 and it's become more acceptable, there's an agenda behind that. And it's a Luciferian one, period. Okay, so I and Brother Ahban are bringing this out because we're not against you, we're against Satan. This is a broadcast to expose the legacy of lies. So whenever we expose lies, who's the best liar in the world? It's the God of this world, Satan. Who's the best deceiver? Who's the master deceiver? The grand deception is Satan. He's the one that provides all the lies. So we're against the lies and the long legacy of it. And what's going on right now is no different than what the brothers and sisters in the days of antiquity that were giving all praise to the Most High before Christ even came was doing away with these abominations and basically doing away with them by destroying it because it served no purpose in the human family. And you've heard me talk about this before, that this reciprocal of what's pure does not bear any fruit. And if a tree doesn't bear any fruit, then you can't eat. And if you can't eat, you die. So it's no different than when a man and woman come together, it brings forth life. If two people of the same sex come together, no life can be brought from that. So ain't nobody gonna twist my thoughts on this. And I, and listen, it is what it is. If people want to get into their feelings, let them get into their feelings. It ain't nothing new under the sun. So let's listen to this. Let's listen to this Reverend Calvin Robinson, young brother too. All right, at the Oxford Union on February 15th of 2023. And Brother Bond, tell me if you can hear this.
We are directly talking about.
Can you hear that, Brother Bond?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's make it happen. Here we go.
About undermining God's plan as he has revealed it to us. We're replacing his authority with our own. If marriage is no longer between one man and one woman, are we open to the idea of polygamy? We disregard the heterosexual aspect, so why not the monogamous aspect too? If love is love, as we keep hearing, who's to say that 3 men loving each other is not more love than 2 men loving each other? And I'm sure someone in this chamber has echoed the words love is love tonight, and this is not about love being love. This is about marriage, the sacrament of holy matrimony. It is directly connected to love, but it's not the definition of love. Too many people utter those words and confuse the meaning of love. Agape, the biblical context of love, is a divine love. It's a sacrificial love. It's not lustful. People often conflate sex with love. It's very disingenuous. We've heard quite a bit of that. But then, of course, atheists often parrot the words, God is love. And we've heard that one tonight too, again, without any understanding. Yes, God is love. But he sets the terms, not us.
Hold on a minute.
We've heard plenty of it. It's inclusivity. Should the church be more inclusive? Again, it's a play of words. It's virtue signaling.
Go ahead, brother. You wanted to say something.
Yeah, a lot of times, we have love for each other, but it's not on God's terms. That was a very powerful point that brother brought out, because love is according, love is love and God is love and all this. Love is according to the terms that God set up. So if I say that I love you, but I am doing things to show you that I hate you, like for instance, in a monogamous heterosexual relationship, since we're using terms today, the wife is always berating and verbally abusing the husband, and then turns around when they get in the right mindset. Oh, I'm sorry, I love you. That is not love, because the Most High in his written word set about the conditions of love between a husband and wife. Just like he set the conditions for marriage and the conditions for the holy matrimony, right? But he also set the conditions for lust and for sexual, alternative or perverted things. And if we're going to say that God is love and we want to be right with the Most High, we have to do it according to as it is written. And that is not hate speech. That's just a warning, because, people think that we concentrating on, alternative lifestyles, but there are people that are, like the brother said, what's up? Is polygamy okay then? There are people that are out here practicing that, or the hookup culture. They're probably going to get it worse than people that live alternative lifestyles that are monogamous. I don't know, but I'm saying so we're not against you. We're against Satan in any of the aspect and forms that he comes out into this society with, because it's not just this. All right. And that was it.
All right. And we're going to discuss that too, because it's not just it's not just same-sex marriage. It's the synthetic people that now believe that they can cut off body parts and do some type of augmentation or variation of something, and then call themselves opposite of what they really are genetically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
and I talked about this morning on a post. So some of my brothers and sisters on TikTok, right after I got banned. I got banned from TikTok today.
Nice.
Temporarily, they said. So we're gonna see how long
Mhm.
I cannot post for, which is pretty interesting. Um, I'm so sick of this virtual government, man. And even this is broadcasting on the virtual government as we speak, But
Yeah.
I'm so sick of it. I'm disgusted by it. And this is really pushing me to be on Rumble, brothers and sisters. So you might not even see me on YouTube much longer, to be honest with you. I might just take all of this to Rumble. How did that come up? I don't know. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
See how that came up?
No, I didn't see anything pop up.
Give me 1 second.
Was the algorithm sent a Matrix robot after you or something, bro? But why you taking care of
Hold
that?
on.
Mhm.
Let me take care of this real quick because
Okay.
they just triggered something, bro. I'm telling you. Hold up. I got it on loop.
Okay.
Oh no, that's on my other browser.
Mm.
That's the BOCC. Yeah, that's from the BOCC. Hold on. And I can't even find it right now.
Yeah.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah. Well,
Where's
just let me say a little something right quick while you're taking care of that.
Okay, go ahead. I just took
Yeah.
it. Isn't it
Okay.
interesting how that just played on its own?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, bro, it's there's a lot of ways, especially with this
I
dependence
X'd it out.
on the digital construct that we dealing in now, for things to interfere, and things
Absolutely.
happen. Things happen for a reason. But now I
Right.
just want to say, that may not be 4C hair. It's at least 3B hair. And you take a look at James 1:1, where it says, scattered means scattered, so I just wanted to say that. So that's an example of that. So go ahead, bro.
Yeah, let's continue.
Yeah. You can full screen that in that browser and it'll take up the rest of that
bro.
space. Yeah.
Bro, I know how to.
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
But I wanted to show us in case we're gonna.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, let me.
It'll still show us. Wouldn't it still show us with the full screen?
No,
Oh,
it doesn't.
okay.
But that's okay. They can still
Yeah.
hear us. Let's
Yeah.
continue. Let's
rewind it back. Yeah.
Rewind it how far back?
I don't know, 20 seconds or something like that. Just to,
all right.
yeah, that's cool right there.
What is love? But he sets the terms, not us.
Mm.
Another one we've heard plenty of is inclusivity. Should the church be more inclusive? Again, it's a play of words. It's virtue signaling. It's to appear good rather than to be good. The church should absolutely be inclusive. Christ spent time with tax collectors and prostitutes, but it is they who went away changed, not Christ. We are fallen, therefore we are all sinners.
Did you hear that profound statement he just said? He said it's them that went away changed, not Christ. Let's go.
Thank you. We could just have an atom bomb explosion mic drop right there, bro. Because we should all try to be better no matter what lifestyle. Thank you. No matter what lifestyle we came from, we should all try to be better spiritually. But we should not try to be better in the spirit of Satan. We should try to be better in the spirit of Christ. So we're not out here trying to condemn anybody because that is not our position. That like you had.
And why is that, brother? Because
we're of Christ.
We're not against you.
We're against
Satan.
So,
we got to get in sync, bro. We should have practiced that before.
Bad timing. Yeah, we should have practiced it 300 times. So
if we would have practiced it 300 times, we would have definitely been in sync.
Oh, it'd have been.
Let's drop another bomb on them. Let's go.
But you know what, bro? The thing is, we're not judging, we're not condemning, we're not saying anybody is less than. We have all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. But we're here to encourage people that really want to get right, that they can, and hope is not lost. Other than that, it is what it is. We're not against you. We're against the God of this world, Satan. Okay. Sorry. Satan.
I'm just saying, it's Satan.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, let's continue.
The church is open to sinners. Of course it is. That's the purpose of the church. But it should not be to encourage people to continue to sin. Our duty as clerics is to help lead people to Christ, to lead them away from sin, not to embrace it, not to affirm it. I know many LGBT people who live lives in Christ. They abstain from sexual gratification to be closer to God, and it's not easy. It really isn't. It's perhaps not fair, but it is right and it is good. And these people are being let down. I've had people crying, saying, I could have got married, but I did what the church taught me was right, and now the church is saying they were wrong all along. I've wasted my life. As Christians, we're called to be in the world, but not of the world. In the secular world, we already have equality in law. People can enter civil partnerships or even gay marriage outside of the church, and that's their prerogative. However, the faith is inherently discriminatory. God is discriminatory. He sets conditions on us entering his heavenly kingdom. It is not a free-for-all. We must turn away from sin, repent, and follow Christ. And I want to specify, it is the sin that is the problem, not the sinner. Every single person is loved by God, and God forgives all of us of our depravity. But we have to turn away from our sins and turn toward him. And it seems the panel opposite me has forgotten to separate the sin from the sinner. One can denounce sin while still welcoming the sinner. So as I wrap up, my message to the opposing side is do not.
He said, we can denounce the sin and still embrace the sinner. That's what it is. But we all have to change. I have things I still have to change. I don't have this great dynamic, all-powerful understanding. That's not my office. That's Christ's office. I'm just trying to be like him. And as the more things that get shown to me and that I discover that I have to change them. That's for all of us, and there, if you really dealing with the scriptures and you're not dealing with uplifting yourself over people so you're better than and they're less than, that's what the scriptures is all about. And it's not hate speech. It's just that some people want to live outside the parameters set by the Most High, and then they turn around and look and say God is discriminating, and that's hate speech. The Most High gives you free will. You got a right to choose. He don't hate you, but in that day, it's going to come a day when everybody is going to get payment for what they've done. So that's just the conditions that he set. It's not hate speech and it's not discrimination. It's not, condemnation by us. Like I said at the beginning, if you're not an a-hole and you don't treat me that way, I could care less what you do in your bedroom. Matter of fact, some people like to wear what they do in their bedroom on their chest or face or in their clothing or whatever every day. That's fine. Are you an a-hole? Will you treat me like I'm an a-hole without getting to know me? That's the only difference in my response that you're going to get from me. And that was it, bro. You didn't have to take it down, man. I just wanted to bring that out, man, because a lot of times people think that because I don't agree with their lifestyle, according to the scriptures, that I have something against them. And I don't. There's people that have been in that lifestyle and came back from it, according to as it is written, not according to me. So that was it.
Do not lead us astray. Do not lead people astray. Do not be the wolves in sheep's clothing. Do not be the false teachers that the Bible warns us about. Remember your obligation to defend the faith. Stop teaching about diversity, inclusion, and equality and get back to teaching about redemption and salvation. This is spiritual neglect. Help people by telling them the truth. Be kind to people by supporting them through those struggles and reminding them that Christ suffers with them. And be compassionate by leading them to Christ when the world tries to lead them away from him. The church is imploding, and the faithful masses have stopped turning up on Sundays, and we are seeing the most rapid decline of Christianity in this country that we may have ever seen. Do not accelerate it with heresy. You do not have the authority to bless sin. When I hear the Bishop of London on record saying these new prayers will mean priests can...
We do not have the authority to bless sin. Got to drop another bomb for that. Let's continue.
Ouch.
bless same-sex relationships, some of which may be sexual in nature. I hear the devil at work. Bishops are promoting the idea of sacramental sodomy. Let them be anathema. Repent. And to the rest of you, I have no doubt that some of you will consider me a bigot or a transphobe or a homophobe, but I am neither of those things, none of those things. I am simply a follower of Christ, a Christian. And we are naturally countercultural. And if so-called liberals were truly diverse and tolerant, they would embrace us just as they embrace everyone else. And the point has been made, but the growing Christophobic attitude around this public debate and the ugly level of hypocrisy is that we really see people hold Muslims and people of other faiths to the same expectations that they hold Christians to. Who is calling for the Quran to be updated to modern societal norms? The same patronizing attitude of people that treat other faiths, patronize other faiths while being intolerant towards Christians at the same time. It's a shame, but in the words of St. Athanasius of Alexandria, if the world is against the truth, then I am against the world.
Drop that bomb, boy.
Oh, yeah, you know I got to drop it. And, you know, right now, there's gonna be people listening to this live broadcast or listening, downloading the show after the broadcast is over, and they're gonna be feeling like, and all I gotta say is the truth is the truth, no matter how you accept it. Listen, this right here, then I am against the world. If you're against the truth, if the world is against the truth, then I'm against the world. Damn, if I could have put that as the bio when I first started the network of awareness, that would have been great, because that's exactly what the network of awareness represents. Because we're a network of podcasters and of people of unwavering faith that we expose the lies so that you can better understand the truth, because a lot of people are accepting the lies as the truth and the truth as the lies, as it is written in the book of Isaiah chapter 5 verse 20, where they say that they accepted the good for the evil and the evil for good. They accepted the light for the darkness and the darkness for the light. They've accepted the bitter for sweet and the sweet for bitter. It is no different as it was in the days of antiquity as it is today. And it's only getting worse, and it's only getting amplified through the works of Satan, through the works of this Luciferian culture that is constantly breaking down everything that's pure and disrespecting it and turning it upside down and making people believe that this upside down way of living in culture is the truth. Is that the way we should be, that we should be all inclusive, we should be loving. And Satan operates through the deception of love. Satan operates through a lawlessness of love. It is not the true love of the Most High, because the true love of the Most High comes with a great, great discipline that has to hold you accountable to what the Most High deem as love and as worthy and as pure. There is an order to this world. There is an order to this life. There's an order to the very existence throughout the entire universe. And that order, no matter how strong these malevolent forces may seem to be, cannot break that order, no matter what they do. So what I'm saying here today is that it is what it is. And there's nothing that's going to stop or change that. Okay, so people can get in their feelings about this, but I'm going to say it again. When a man and a woman come together, a man and a woman can bring a child. A man cannot bring forth a child. A man cannot give birth to a child. Okay, a man doesn't have a womb. The man is the vessel that injects and brings out the sperm into the womb that starts this thing that we were created in his image called creation and brings forth human life into the fetus of a woman. It's been like that forever, and it's not going to change. So people can still be together, right? You still going to have people of the same sex having, getting married and all of that, but you operating according to man's laws. And that's all we're saying here today. We're not against you, but at the same time, I'm not going to sit here on my platform and act like this is normal, like this is natural, like this is how things are supposed to be. Because if I was to do that, then I would just be disrespecting the Most High, and I might as well just wrap it up. Because then I'm the sinner endorsing the sin. I'm the sinner that's saying, oh, it's okay, when it really isn't. And just on a basic common sense level, if you take a child that has no clue of any of this, just a child that gets brought around, and if let's say they see two men kissing, that child is going to be looking like, they just going to be looking like, what's going on right now? What is this? Because I'll tell you, when I saw it as a kid, I was like, what's happening right now?
Where they do that at?
Yeah, like it didn't make sense. And it still don't make sense. Even
Well,
grown men, like and you people be like, oh, you know, because they'll say, and this is the assault on the heterosexual community, where there's an assault happening, and it's been happening for the past 10 years plus.
Mm-hmm.
That they're making us to seem like the enemy. I'm an enemy because I like to lay down with a woman instead of a man. Why? Why does that make me an enemy now? Why can I go to jail if I use the F word that stands for maggot or it rhymes with maggot? You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy how I even have to phrase it like that because I'm on this damn virtual government network that if I say that word, they're going to bring this damn channel down, man. Just for that damn word. It's disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah. But, you know, 3 things. It was a good thing that Dave Chappelle brought out. He said when he was doing his show, they was like, they called him in the office and they was like, you know, you can't say that word, the word that you're just talking about. And he was like, yo, what are you talking about? I was just joking. I mean, no, Dave, you can't say that word. You can't say that word, Dave. And he said, okay, I'm going to tone it down. I'm going to not say it. He went to go, you got anything else? Nope. He went to walk out the office. He turned around. He was like, yo, how come I can say the N word 100 times an episode?
Right.
You know, and we've been fighting for 50, 60 years to get people to not say it. So,
Let's segue. Say no more. Let's segue now because I've been saving this. I've been saving this.
Yeah.
And the word he's talking about, people, in case you don't know what the N word is, the word that rhymes with trigger. And it seems to trigger a lot of people that have been oppressed and have gone through major long suffering because behind that word. I stopped saying that word a long time ago. I say it from time to time privately, just because it's been so ingrained in me growing up in the Bronx. It's like, you know, trigger this, trigger that. But I remember thinking about my great grandmother. And I was like, every time I say that word, I'm disrespecting my great grandma.
Yeah.
I'm disrespecting my ancestors that went through hellish ordeal behind that word. When that word was said, something really bad happened.
Yeah.
Something really bad was happening at the time that word was being said. So that whole thing where it was like when you had the rappers in the 90s being like, yo, I say that word because I'm bigging up my brother. Like, we taking control of that word. No, you're not. That word has an energy and a frequency to it. So it doesn't matter if you're saying it out of what you think is love. It still carries that frequency that it was created in. And the sad part about it is that word is just some messed up English of people not even being able to pronounce the word properly, because when they were enslaving people from the Nagrala Valley, these country bunking, dumbed down Europeans couldn't actually say the Nagrala people. Okay. So what did they say? And then some people say, oh, they were trying to say Negro. No. Get your facts straight. Start studying. Stop listening to men on podcasts that don't know damn thing, giving you information that is false. Start doing your own research. It's the people from the Nagra Valley. So when they refer to these people, they use the word that starts with the N word that rhymes with trigger.
With
And
Roy
because
Rogers'
they couldn't
horse.
say it.
Roy Rogers' horse.
Yeah. So let's go to this. We're gonna segue.
Yeah.
You want to say something real quick
right,
before we segue?
Yeah, right quick. And a lot of times, you know, that anger is placed toward the white man, the so-called white man, when a lot of the white people here were so poor they didn't have a pot to pee in.
Exactly.
It was another type of people that owned 98% of the slaves, that owned the ships, that owned the insurance company that insured the ships, that owned the companies that built the ship, that owned the banks that financed the ships. And they weren't white people. But continue.
That's right.
But continue.
And let's just keep it real, because the white man is not that powerful.
No, he's not.
This is a battle against principalities. It's the principalities that hold the power. It's Satan that is the God of this world. So he has the power over this dominion. Okay? Plain and simple.
Yeah.
People need to wake up. They need to be aware so they could be better prepared.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I'll say the rest of the stuff later. Just go ahead and what you was talking about. You said you was going to segue to something?
Yeah, I'm gonna share this video right here. Now,
Mhm.
this is from the Godfather of Harlem, and
Mm.
I've been
Oh,
waiting to put this out.
you found it?
I've been waiting to put this out for so long, bro. Now I took time because I'm
Yeah.
gonna do a whole documentary. By the way,
I'll try.
okay, so what we're about to see right now,
Mhm.
and let me make sure it's up on the screen here. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So what we're about to see right now is this is a scene from The Godfather of Harlem, season 1, episode 5. It's all in the game. And it's interesting because this particular episode, what you're going to hear is Hollywood is always showing you because Satan's always revealing the truth. You had talked about how black people, right? Black and brown people, because a lot of my family were called the N word back in New York. My
Mhm.
father was called the N word. Okay.
Mhm.
My father has woolly hair. He has kind of like he's kind of got that what they call him high yellow.
Yeah.
He kind of high yellow. But um the reality is this is that what you're going to see here or hear as well for those that are listening on audio is this propaganda movement that started at this time and has accelerated and has increased in its propaganda, in its deception, present day to where we are now with these, green, purple hair people that run around here all angry and stuff with their little picket signs. So let's just listen to this real quick. This is a scene where this mafia guy is going to play like he's gay, but he's really not. He's just trying to get information from this one homosexual because they put a contract out on this dude and he's trying to get information from this homosexual so that he can put out the hit or complete the hit, so to speak. So I want people to pay close attention to the conversation that they're going to have briefly.
Elizabeth Taylor's costumes are gorgeous. Did you know she made 65 costume changes in that movie?
65?
Yeah. I'd change 65 times if I got to fuck Richard Burton.
Did you ever see The Great Escape? I love that flick. Steve McQueen did all that motorcycle stuff.
I should know your name before I cruise you any harder.
I'm Peter.
Gordon. Hey, speaking of movies, did you see Victim? God, I hated that film. Even the title is another tragic movie where homosexuals are the victims. Enough. We should be like the Negroes. Protest, march, sit in, be seen as real people.
Yeah. Feel
Okay, you heard what he said, right?
Yeah.
Listen to his response real quick.
pretty alone sometimes.
I'm talking too much. I do that.
No. Don't apologize. Can we go somewhere?
And he's gonna get him right now. He's gonna put a gun in his mouth too, right there in that scene. So now you heard what he said, right?
Mhm.
Now I could have sworn when they first put this episode out, he said a little bit more than what he says in that statement. I think they may have edited a couple of things from what I remember. But you heard what he said. We should protest, do this just like the Negroes. What did they do? This whole propaganda movement exactly was that. And
Dude, it's more than that. It's more than that. They hired some Madison Avenue advertising campaign managers to direct the movement. We did a short documentary on it. They pushed Harry Hay, who was with NAMBLA, National Association of Men Boy Lovers, of America. They pushed him to the back and started all these protests and sit-ins. There was I think, a raid on a bar by the New York PD, I think in 79 or something like that. They played that up. There was in 98 the killing of the gay dude where he was tied up to the fence, I think in Colorado or Utah or somewhere out west. They played that. Come to find out, the dude stole some drugs from his boyfriend, who was a drug dealer, and the boyfriend killed him. But they played that up as a hate crime and got the first hate crime legislation installed. And they actually they got money up and got people placed into a sitcom here, a sitcom there, and that it just gained momentum. It was an ad campaign and it was propaganda. And, you know, I only know about this because we researched for the documentary. So, you know, in dealing with that, you have to understand that what they did was they borrowed from the so-called African-American civil rights movement and took certain key elements of that to have their own civil rights when they already had rights as citizens. And, you know, everybody else that's using it, the transvestites, the transgenders and stuff now that are using that pattern, you know, that the African Americans used. Even the African Americans never really got any lasting results from that. Even the case that who was that ended up being a Supreme Court justice? They had teams of lawyers against him in the 50s and 60s, and they lost. Thurgood Marshall. The plans for reparations that he had, the Japanese used it for the internment camps, and other people used it around the world for World War II and stuff. But it was his the layout of his case for his plans that he was taking to the Supreme Court. And that's one of the reasons why they nominated him to the Supreme Court, so he couldn't use it against the Supreme Court. But anyway, they've all used our civil rights track record and gotten many benefits from it. And I'm not talking about just this people that use this lifestyle, but others, you know, and they've gotten all this stuff out of it and we've got nothing, you know. So that just is what it is. A little sidebar.
No, but it's part of the conversation for this topic today, because you said that they pushed NABLA to the back. They really didn't. They just pulled them out of the limelight.
Yeah, that's what it was. They took Harry Hay to the side and said, "You stay back there. We don't want that to be known yet." And
but
then
they kept pushing it. Is what I'm saying.
They kept pushing it. Yeah, of course they did.
This is where we're at now, because they've been pushing and lobbying this since the 70s with an enormous amount of funding. You would think that they got funded by the damn cartel with the money that's been invested in this.
Well,
that what's happening is that now, and I'm telling people, you better buckle up and get ready, because you know what's going to be the next thing, and it's coming real soon to a theater in a living room near you. It's coming for the legalization of pedophilia, baby. It's coming. It's damn near here. They just really haven't put it out in the forefront to where it's a topic of conversation, to where they're like, it's going to be common. But with this whole thing with the MAPS, minor attracted people, and saying that it's not a illness, that it's quite normal, that's the beginnings of them introducing this very soon. Because the whole agenda to begin with was the fact that they were pushing these synthetic people and having people be more accepting of it, that now the new push is going to be the pedophilia. That's why they're showing you kids being read to by drag queens. So let's segue into that. Okay.
Yeah, because they want it to be like it was in the Greek times, but the Greeks basically got their stuff from Egypt, and I know a lot of people that are into Egyptology don't believe this, but it's true. Egypt, the culture, and the pharaonic kingdom setup came from an invading party from Sumeria, from ancient Babylon, that established that culture and that the way the kings and the government was set up. That was originally from Babylon. but that lifestyle was even from back then, it was always a status symbol for an older man to have a young boyfriend. It was always seen as a status symbol.
Right.
You know, and that's what they're pushing, that same ad campaign, that same, you know, buying out the Board of Education to allow the story hour stuff. That same thing is gaining momentum from all the way back in the 60s and 50s when it first started, you know, because that's what they want. And it's well heeled. It has occult ties, just like Harry Hay did. Okay. And people think it's a joke, but it's actually not, you know, and people need to be aware of that. They can go do their own not so deep dive on the internet to find that stuff out. Can't. Okay. Yeah, I can hear it.
Yeah, now we're going to see it. Here we go. Right. So I talked about the drag queens, right? They've been doing, and what's interesting about this program too is that it's always drag queens, but technically the program that has these adult career people, these people with careers, is that technically they're supposed to pick different people with that are in these careers, like lawyers, doctors, firemen, police officers, and they're supposed to be reading books. But for some reason, they're always picking drag queens.
And for some reason, an amazing percentage of these people that they're choosing have convicted child porn or child molestation records that they're not supposed to even be around kids.
Let's drop a bomb for that, because I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's true. A lot of them.
And we're going to hear it from one of them directly. See, this is what I love. When even one of their own speaks the truth. It's the best. I mean, you can't get any better than this, giving all praises, because this is the Most High. Like, the truth is the truth, no matter how you accept it, right? And the reason why I keep saying that, because that's the song that Brother Oxakai wrote with me and Brother Aim, called The Truth is the Truth. We might have to play that to end this show, but this is coming directly from a drag queen, okay? Now, what I was going to say, too, was that every single time they choose these drag queens to read to kids, why is it not being switched up? Because it's an agenda. It's an agenda to have the children be more accepting of perversion, to be more accepting of satanic Luciferianism, to be accepting of wickedness, to be accepting of abomination, because that's how you destroy the nation. You come after the innocents. And Satan loves coming after the innocents, because the innocence is what's closest to the Most High. It's the closest representation and personification of what the Most High is and represents in its purest form. And that's the innocence. Let's go. Let me go here, and we're going to play this.
Why you want drag queens to read books to your children. What in the hell has a drag queen ever done to make you have so much respect for them and admire them so much, other than put on makeup and jump on the floor and writhe around and do sexual things on stage? I have absolutely no idea why you would want that to influence your child. Would you want a stripper or a porn star to influence your child? It makes no sense at all. A drag queen performs in a nightclub for adults. There is a lot of filth that goes on, a lot of sexual stuff that goes on. And backstage, there's a lot of nudity, sex, and drugs. So I don't think that this is an avenue you would want your child to explore. To actually get them involved in drag is extremely, extremely irresponsible on your part. And I understand you might want to look like you're with it, that you're cool, that you're woke, that you're not a Nazi, that you're not a homophobe, whatever it may be. But you can raise your child to be just a normal, regular, everyday child without including them in gay sexual things. I have no idea.
From one of their very own. Okay. And let's give a round of applause for whoever this is, because I don't know their name, nor do I care to remember. But let's give them a round of applause, whoever this man is that's dressed up as Dionne Warwick, or looks like Kathy Faye Baker.
Tammy Faye.
Oh,
But
sorry, I
yeah,
said Kathy.
but yeah,
Tammy Faye Baker.
yeah. Oh man, when she cried, she went through like $5,000 worth of makeup, bro.
Right,
Oh
right.
yeah.
I just saw the movie about her. I saw a couple months. Really good movie, man. It shows you too how she was the one too. Speaking of her, she was pushing the gay. Let's love them. Come on, they're our brothers and sisters. And it's like, yeah, but you know, you can. We have love for our brothers and sisters across the board. But we can't endorse this like it's normal. And that's what society is pushing. Society is saying being accepting of this because it's that agenda to come after the children. It doesn't stop where it's at right now. This is a progression to something far more sinister and satanic and far more depraving, which is sexual molestation and rape of children. That's what pedophiles do. They steal the innocence out of a child through a physical act.
Yep.
These are
And
facts. This is not my perceptions. This is actually true.
and that is another thing as well that has a religious connotation for those that are into certain high level pagan religions, is how they get access to power is through that sexual act. And that's one of the things I wanted to go into.
Now, this is
And just,
the
just mention.
the thing that you sent me, by the way.
Mhm.
Let me know when you want me to play that, because I have it up here as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention one thing first, because you mentioned how, men can't have a baby and stuff like that. And we know that, the XY chromosome determines a man, the XX is female, right? So, but they are trying to implant a womb into a man, and I think they have already, but what they're trying to do is, and I'm just paraphrasing this because I read the article, and it was a few weeks ago, but I was cramming to do research for stuff. But they're trying to implant, or already have implanted, a womb into a man. But what they want to do is impregnate the womb and then have the man have a baby, right? And then take the womb out. And but there's the anti-rejection drugs for the organ transplant and all that. But I don't think they're really looking at the fact that a woman's pelvis, an actual woman's pelvis, is shaped different and made different than a man's pelvis. And it actually stretches somewhat for different births. It stretches. The bones actually stretches and moves during birth. And that's something that women can do that men can't. So there's a bunch of things they have to take care of, because they want this to happen. And, it's like the climate change science that they're talking about with the electric cars and stuff. The technology we have hasn't caught up to the dream that they have, and that applies to a lot of men's science. But the thing is that it just can't work, because the Most High made biological differences between men and women, actual men and actual women. They say, yeah, well, trans men can give birth. Yeah, somebody that's transitioned from female to male that still has their womb, that is still biologically a female, they can have birth, but it's not the way for an actual man. And these things, you know, they're hidden behind this advertising campaign of propaganda. And we're just trying to make people aware of what's going on, you know. And I wanted to actually, you could play that clip too, because there's
Well,
something that the guy said. Go ahead. Go ahead.
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play another clip first, and then we'll play
Okay.
that clip because
Okay.
this dude,
Mhm.
he's actually confronted people. I think on the Phil Donahue, not the Phil Donahue, the
Oh, Matt Walsh. Yeah. He made a documentary, What is a Woman, that people need to see, because he wasn't, and there's a thing, because he was at a location speaking to an audience. There was a question and answer session, and a teenager with gender dysphoria came to him and was like, "Why are you attacking me? And why are you doing?" And he basically said, "Listen, I'm not coming against you. I feel for you, and to have that, you know, and to be diagnosed with that, I can't imagine what you're going through. And I will, I'm here for you if you want to talk or whatever. But what I am against is the agenda that's behind pushing pushing your confusion and pushing you to be a lifelong medical and big pharma customer, where they're just going to take you and they'll incorrectly diagnose you or push you to surgery or push you here, push you to medication that, because of your individual circumstances, you may not need. And see, they're going out and they're hovering over you like vultures and waiting to abuse you. So, and they went in, they actually ended up having a talk. And when they were finished, the audience gave the teen that was suffering from gender dysphoria, I believe they gave him a standing ovation. A bunch of people walked up to him and hugged him. It was like, "Listen, if I can help you," or whatever. So the thing is, he's not against you. He's against Satan and the agenda. He may not know that it's Satan, but he's against the agenda that's behind this push, But Matt Walsh, he had the documentary, What is a Woman? Very good documentary.
So let's hear it from his words and how he breaks it down so eloquently. And shout outs to Wokeness is a Disease on Instagram.
Started it. You started it. So I see you on social media and on the news and out marching the street, crying your crocodile tears and claiming that you're being set upon by fascist right-wingers who won't let you just live your lives in peace. What do we ever do to you, you cry? Why are you so angry at us? Well, let me answer that question. You see, the rest of us were living our lives. We were minding our own business when you came along and demanded that we abandon everything we know about fundamental physical reality for your sake. That's what you did. You claim the right to walk into whatever bathroom you want, whatever locker room, whatever sports team. Nobody else has ever had that right. Nobody else has ever had that right to just do whatever they want, go anywhere they want. But you wanted it. You came after our children, seeking to suck them into your suicide cult just to make yourselves feel better. You tried to restructure human society to make it affirming to you personally. You wanted to force the whole world to bend to your narcissism. You tried to put words in our mouths. You tried to control how we speak, even when you're not in the room. Your ego is so out of control that you even tried to take possession of parts of the English language, like you can own them. You started it. You started it. So I see you on social media and on the news and out marching the street, crying.
You started it, and we finishing it. That's all. That's what this
Yeah.
broadcast is for. We're finishing it through the power and grace of the Most High and through Christ. Because listen, at the end of the day, it is a form of narcissism, like he said.
Mm-hmm.
It's a gaslighting. It's become a global gaslighting process where they really want us to think that this is somewhat normal or natural. And it's so far from the truth. So far from the truth. And I ain't going for the okey doke. I can tell you that right now, because I've dealt with this personally with my own child trying to play this game for attention. So I know what it's like to have to deal with this within your own family. And, what's interesting about this too is that the level of manipulation goes so deep that your 15-year-old son or daughter can go to any doctor's office and go get hormone treatment without your consent here in the United Shenanigans of America.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to ask yourself, why? Why are they allowed to do that? Why are they allowed to go without parental consent to the doctor at 15 years old and get hormonal treatment without you having a freaking clue?
Hold on, bro. Hold on. HIPAA law states 11 years old. You could take your kid to the doctor at 11. And if they don't want you in that room, you can't go in the room with your kid and the doctor. All right. And then from that point, when they make that decision, you don't have to know anything they're talking about. You can't. It's 11 years old because a friend of mine at a job I was on, he went through it. And the doctor explained it to him, maybe didn't really agree with it, but they set that up. They always set stuff up.
Oh, yeah.
And then
it's in the court
promote
systems
yeah,
too.
It goes through the agenda later on, like years later, but it's already there. So you didn't complain about it then. It's too late now because it's 10 years later.
I got into an argument with an attorney on a Zoom call in a New Jersey court while I was here in Florida. This was like 5 years ago, or maybe a little bit less than that. And my child was being called a different name. And I was calling my child by the name that I gave my child when they were born.
How dare you?
So I was calling, my daughter ORRA, and this guy got upset that I was calling my daughter by her name. And he was like, basically his argument was like, you see, Your Honor, this is why she doesn't want to live with him and all of this. And I was like, yo, I lost it. I was like, I'm not going to say everything I said, but I didn't care at this point. I didn't care if I was in a, technically in a courtroom in front of the judge, because I follow the Most High's laws. I don't follow man's laws. Man's laws are very irrelevant to me. I may still stop at a stoplight or stop sign, but what I mean is man's laws are relevant to me, and I really mean that. And I told this dude, I was like, where did you get your law degree? Out of a Cracker Jack box? And I was like, you don't have any authority to tell me how I'm supposed to speak to my child or refer to my child. I said, everybody in this courtroom, all you lawyers that are that's sitting on this panel defending her, I was like, you should all be ashamed of yourselves that you're going along with this propaganda. I said, especially you. I was like, because you're not going to tell me or try to get me reprimanded for me addressing my child and all. And I said a bunch of other stuff that would have been considered disrespectful. And I told him straight up, like, dude, fall back because I'm not the one. And then he tried to be like, Your Honor, Your Honor, or Your Honor, are you gonna let him talk to me like this? Are you gonna let him disrespect me like this in a court of law?
Judge
And
probably
the judge
felt
was
the
like,
same way.
The judge said, listen, I understand that there's these new laws in place that we have to abide by. But he says, by no means am I going to allow Mr. So-and-so to basically refer to his child by a different name or to refer to his child in anything but he chooses to do, because that's his child. And I'm going to respect and honor that. And I said, you know what, Your Honor? I'm glad that somebody, at least one person in this courtroom, is using their brain.
Thank you.
And that's the Most High, bro, because that judge was not having it. He was not trying to go along with the nonsense. But everybody else, it was just like, oh, man, I could just come into a courtroom and say, oh, I want to be called Elizabeth. like, hey, call me Elizabeth. And it's like, okay, that's Elizabeth. I identify as they, them, why, who, what, whatever. And they were like, hey, he identifies whatever, so we got to call him whatever.
You know, and that reminds me of what I saw yesterday. There was a clip of I don't know if you saw the movie Idiocracy, where
Oh, I love that movie.
Terry Crews was president.
Yeah. And they had Gatorade. Gatorade was was their
Gatorade.
source for watering the plants.
Yeah.
Gatorade.
So Terry Crews was dressed up as the president
With a perm.
in the back of a pickup truck, riding down the street, giving everybody the finger with both hands, talking about he's running for president. Because that's what this place is. It is that movie.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Absolutely. Idiocracy it's actually worse than the movie, bro. That's the crazy part. It's actually worse. That
Yeah.
movie was like a funny depiction of what society is like, but it's
Mhm.
actually far worse. One of the funniest scenes is where the attorney that's in his apartment or whatever, the couch chair is also a toilet. So you don't have to get up to go to the bathroom. You just poop right there. When I saw that, I was like, bro, we're not too far from that. Where you're gonna start, I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing couches that have toilets in them, so that you
Well,
don't have to get your lazy ass up to go to the bathroom. You could just shit right there.
well, you know what the next step after that is? The pods that are in the Matrix. And in California, I think 6 months ago, something like that, they were selling pods, like little it was a small, it was like I think 4 foot by 8 foot by 4 foot. And they had like 50 of them in a house or whatever. But that was your living area. And that's the next step. They're going to give you all your sensory needs. They're going to take care of your feeding, with feeding tubes and stuff like that. And, they're bringing it in slowly but surely. They just want to feed off of you. They'll put something into you, give you an augmented reality and whatever, man, whatever you want to do, and that's their goal until they don't need you. But I didn't mean to go off on a sidebar, but it's interesting how they're moving and forcing the society into a position where they don't want anybody to think about anything. They don't want people to think critically or for themselves. They just want you to follow what they tell you.
So let's play this next video here.
Mm-hmm.
And can you see it on your side?
Yes, I can.
All
Yeah.
right. Whoops.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go back.
Yeah.
In the parades, the men would dress up as women in the parades. The women would dress as men. It would be a parade of gender bending. And that's exactly when you see this happening now, that's the sign of the goddess. And Sid, it's even like more mind-boggling because I'm looking at this and I look at the ancient observers and they said, when did this thing happen? They said it happened, even St. Jerome, it happened in the month they called it in Latin, Junium. June was the month of the goddess. She claimed a month, June, and she was the goddess of pride. So we have now a pride month. It's all come back. This is what through these things, through these festivals, she possesses a culture. And that's the sign that she has come back. She had parades happening all over. And when I looked at the ancient inscriptions of the parades, it describes them. And it says in the parades, the men would dress up as women in the parades. The women would dress as men. It would be a parade of gender bending. And that's exactly when you see this happening now, that's the sign of the goddess. And Sid, it's even like more mind-boggling because I'm looking at this and I look at the ancient observers and they said, when did this thing happen? They said it happened, even St. Jerome, it happened in the month they called it in Latin, Junium. June was the month of the goddess.
June was the month of the goddess,
Mm-hmm.
and they're bringing it back.
Yeah. When is Pride Month? Let me look that up.
I believe he's like he said, it's June. This is June where this is actually happening.
Let's see. Pride Month is celebrated each year in the month of June to honor the 1969 Stonewall Uprising in the United States. And that Stonewall Uprising was the bar in New York City where they had the police raid, where they killed some gay. It was a gay bar. They killed some gay people, and there was like a protest and everything. Typically takes place on the last Sunday in June and is dedicated to celebration and commemoration of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender pride.
Now, let me mention something. Remember when you mentioned about Dave Chappelle?
Mm-hmm.
And it's something Dave Chappelle brought out, jokingly, but it's so true. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
I played that clip from The Godfather of Harlem, right? Where he was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, we should be like the Negroes and we should start protesting and doing all these things. But in reality, that's what they did. And look at the level of success and accomplishment of this progression of this movement since it first started, and how much was able to be achieved legally according to legislation here in this country. But yet, the black man and woman is still has not received any type of legislation for anything. Okay? Only the illusion of it. Not a damn thing. The word, the N word that rhymes with trigger still is getting used. Nobody goes to jail for it. Okay? And some people even kill behind that word to this present day and still don't go to jail. But yet, you got these so-called imaginary crimes, because a lot of them are imaginary. All right. Because I remember growing up in New York City, there was a lot of homosexuals that would go to Greenwich Village. And nobody bothered them. Everybody left them alone. Just don't bring your perversion over here. Stay in your little cubby of Greenwich Village and you're good to go.
Yep.
And I remember that gay people have been around forever. There ain't nobody ever had really any issues with gay people. It was always like, just don't do that shit in front of me and we good. You know what I mean? Like, don't be bringing that over here. Especially, you have a lot of these gay men and women that believe that they can turn heterosexual people. And when they do, I tell people, they didn't turn that person. That person was already like that. That person was already curious. And they went that route. They made that choice. It wasn't because they convinced them. It was they was already curious. And they sensed it. All right. So this whole agenda is so wicked, bro. It's like, how do you have an agenda that in the last 30 years has progressed significantly, but you still have this thing called racism, and so-called black and brown people are still being oppressed with very little progress in anything?
You know what
The
the answer
oppression
is?
is very much still alive.
You know what the answer is? Don't think about that. Trump, orange man bad, Trump. Let me see. Kevin Hart said something last week.
About the Egyptians.
The Chris Rock special is out. Let me see. What else is going on? Oh, this guy over here is racist. And all this other stuff. That's the answer. Don't think about it. We're going to put some news. And by the way, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black guy, just gave another $25 billion to Ukraine. What has he done for that? No, don't think about that either.
And let's not forget that he's been funding these LGBTQ community organizations on multiple levels.
Don't think about that. Think about the news that we want you to think about. And that's why Trump is always going to be in the news. That's why this guy or this racist thing, or I just saw a thing yesterday, math is racist. And that's kind of funny for me as a black man that excelled in math in school, but I digress. But this is what they want you to think about, not what they're actually doing.
And by the way, Ahban's father is a black man, for those that don't know. Don't get it twisted.
Whatever, man. It doesn't matter. But you know what? Some people, and the thing is, I used to go through abuse all through grammar, high school, my adult life, even recently. You can't teach the Bible because you're Mishma and they're not allowed into the into the congregation until the 10th generation. Huh? Okay, so let's not look at judging righteous judgment, not judging by the appearance, you know. Well, you know, they told another brother that's darker skinned than me. He was teaching one day. They told him, your nose is too big. So now they telling me my nose is too small, I guess. I don't have any care or concern about that. I'm just trying to put the word out. But one thing right quick, the Stonewall uprising that we mentioned, the Stonewall riots of June 28th, 1969, began when New York City police raided the Stonewall Inn, which was a gay bar in Greenwich Village, leading to 6 days of protests and violent clashes with law enforcement outside of the bar on Christopher Street, in neighboring streets, and in nearby Christopher Park. It is one of the most famous uprisings for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender rights, but preceded it by over a decade. And this is one of the things that they used when they went into this ad campaign to normalize it, to desensitize children to it, which they're still doing now, even with the transgenders. And then now that video that you brought out just now about the pride and the gay pride, the gender switching and confusion and merging of the genders that happens during Pride Month, which was an worship of an ancient goddess. It was something also that I believe that was a bishop at the beginning that he said, and he said that people are having sacramental sodomy. And I went and looked up the word sacrament. It is a religious rite or observance comparable to a Christian sacrament. So what these people are doing is having sexual relations that are, whether they know it or not, when they deal with this thing, because it is a worship of this idol or this god that the brother was talking about in that last clip that you played. And I want to share my screen right quick.
Yeah.
So let me see. And okay. And there we go. So when we look at this, let's blow it up a little bit. So hopefully
one more time.
One more. Okay, one more time. Let's see.
One more time. There we go.
I'll hit it twice there, just for good. So now, I know this might seem kind of ironic, but the website is Gay Christian 101. Okay. So I went down here to who was Ashtoreth, right? And I'm reading down, and of course we had Moloch, also associated with Baal, right? Then we had Ashtaroth, which was Astarte, Ashtoreth, Astaroth, Ishtar, and then also known today as Easter. Okay. So Molech or Baal represented the male principle of life and reproduction, while Ashtoreth, Ishtar, Easter, Astarte, Ishtar, represented the female principle of fertility. Okay. And, you know, they did the child sacrifice, and this is what it talks about in Leviticus about not making your children pass through the fire, because you see the fire here, and it would come out the lap. They would put the baby in the lap as a sacrifice. It would burn the baby. All right. The sexual relationship between these false gods set an example for unbridled sensuality among their worshipers. Anal sex between male and male worshipers and male and female worshipers was viewed as an offering to the goddess. So it was sacramental sodomy. Okay. And then some people go and they, like that guy that played one of the warlocks in Lord of the Rings. He also played Magneto in the Avengers movies. when he went into a hotel, he would rip Leviticus 18 out of the Bible that they have in the hotel. But it's in more places than that. And one of the places is here. Some 1450 years after Leviticus, the Apostle Paul references pagan worship in Romans 1. It's not only 26 and 27. It starts about verse 21 and goes on down to 28. When he blasts the same kind of fertility goddess worship in first century Rome. Okay. And then here it talks about how that, what I was talking about up in the picture was the, passing through the fire, which is what they did to infants. So the thing is, when it was a woman, the priests would have sacramental sex with the woman, and if it ended up being vaginal sex, then the baby that was born would be born, and then 3 years later at that same ritual would be given to this god. But then also in these temples and in these groves and stuff like that that were outdoors, you had anal sex between male and female, and then you also had anal sex between male and male as a religious ritual, which would be the sacramental sex as an offering. And it didn't have to be in the temple, but it would be as an offering to this god. So now, if there's an offering that you do, like at Christmas, where it was false god worship to bring a tree or a replica of a tree into your house, deck it with gold and silver, and put gifts underneath it. And in the Bible, it said that that was an idol and it was a representation of a ritual of sacrifice to a false god. Is it okay to do that? No, it's not. So now this same type of activity where it's a religious ritual, but it is this anal sex, or it is the sex between women, or sex between just men, whatever it is, the kissing, the making out, the whatever it is. If the scriptures tell you that it's a religious ritual and you're doing it now today, is it right in the sight of the Most High? No, it's not. Does that mean that I'm going to punch you in the face if I see you walking down the street? Absolutely not, because the judgment is not mine, it's the Lord's. However, because of that, I'm not going to partake in that lifestyle with you. I'm going to partake in the lifestyle of the Most High. But a lot of the times and cases, because I've actually talked to a person that was transitioning, that asked me, why are people so judgmental, and that they especially people that claim they hold in the Bible and stuff, but they're committing adultery and stuff like that. And I simply explained that it is your choice. I'm not going to deal with that. I'm not going to deal with what you do in your bedroom. Don't force it on me. However, this is what the Bible says. You can look it up: Leviticus 18, Leviticus 20, Romans chapter 1, from like 2021 all the way to the end. And you make your decision, and just don't treat me like I ain't SHAT, and we can be cool, because I'm not ever going to treat anybody like they ain't SHAT, because just like when Christ came to the fishermen and made them apostles, he told them, I'm going to make you fishers of men, meaning I'm going to use you to draw people to me. And that's our job here. So I'm not out here condemning anybody, because everybody has a chance to repent. Because I mean, I haven't looked out my window in the last hour and a half, but I'm pretty sure that Christ has not come back through the clouds yet. So we all got a chance to repent and get right, until he gets back. Now, if he's back and you ain't, if he's back and you ain't repented, that's another story. But he's going to tell you that, not me. So that was it.
So we're gonna wrap things up here, because I think we've covered enough, and I think we need to repeat that mantra again. You ready?
Yeah.
We're
not against you.
We're
against
Satan.
Satan.
That's it. We're not against you, brothers and sisters.
And guess what? It just is what it is.
That's right. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the title of today's show. I hope that everybody enjoyed this. It is what it is on Wisdom Wednesday and the Legacy of Lies series. This is a bonus episode, by the way. This is not even being counted as episode 81. This is just a bonus episode because I had a situation this morning that was quite disappointing. And I figured I'd just clear the air because people want to come onto my show and then they have a change of heart, because they get into their feelings. And, it is what it is. There's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah, it's not about that because we're not against you because you live a certain lifestyle. If you have some knowledge or understanding, let's share that knowledge or understanding. But we're not going to, like you told me before, we're not going to promote that. Like you had a case a couple of weeks ago with somebody. I'm not going to promote that on this podcast, but if you want to talk about this, that's fine. Just don't be an a-hole about it. And, because I'm not going to be an a-hole to you because you live that lifestyle, but some people get their feathers all in a bunch or whatever, and they have feelings about it. And there are no feelings involved when it comes to the Most High's word.
Right. So with that being said, let's play some music here.
Yep.
What? So, brothers and sisters, I hope you enjoyed this Legacy of Lies series. And we got more episodes coming up. I hope you've been enjoying the interviews. We're only getting better as we go along. Because whatever doesn't kill you only makes you strong. And I can tell you that I give all praises to the Most High in Christ. I give all praise to the Heavenly Father for all that's been given because, the way things was looking, a lot of people thought that the network of awareness was not going to exist. And the reality is that you people that thought that are such a minute, small, little minuscule of a fraction of a speck of a little mote of nothing that had to deal with this show. So the fact that you're not around, it actually made the show better. So with that being said, when you live in the present, there is always an opportunity for a new beginning. And don't look for the light at the end of the tunnel, because the light is and always will be within you. So light up the tunnel and find your way through the darkness. This is ORRA the Informationalist with my guest co-host, Brother Ahban from the BOCC. And we're some brothers from the BOCC, letting you know that we give all praises, and we hope that you have, by the way, I forgot to say this, a happy new year to all my brothers and sisters that are in this faith pursuing this truth. So happy
real
new year.
Happy
to
real
all
new
my
year,
brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
All right. And looking forward to the Passover that's drawing near. So peace, love, and light. All praises to the Most High in Christ. Barakatah and shalom.
Shalom. All praises to the Most High through Christ.